This is a short video to show you how you can improve the variations of the data that you are generating into your various development and QA systems. So the way this works is you have a data scenario publish. Once you've done that, you can create models of the data variations to drive data generation, and there's lots of capabilities within that model to do all different levels of coverage, and you can focus on specific combinations that you're interested in for particular sets of tests that you're currently working on. Now, when you build those models, you can actually initially create them using just plain English, and we'll convert them using AI into a starter model, and then you can refine it thereafter. You can also use data combinations. Orthogonal arrays or constrained arrays is what they're called, and basically that just allows you to create maybe thousands of different combinations without having to worry about modeling. It's particularly good for things like negative testing. You can also have a look at your target system and say, well, what actual combinations are we missing? And then you can then create the variations that are missing from that system. So you're in effect maybe matching up your production system to your development system to make sure production actually has all of its scenarios in the development system as well. When it comes to data generation, you can also use AI to help you build the data generation, and I'll show you that quickly at the end. So you've got your data generation, and that can be submitted by a form, and that will basically publish the data directly into your database or via an API or into flat files. And we have what's called a generation rule set, which tells you what you're going to do, and that will push it into your development environment. You can also look at matching data for ancillary systems to make sure that your payment codes match, or your currency code match, or your brokers have an appropriate balance when you push the data into those environments. Once you've got that scenario published, you can then create modeled variations of them, and that allows you to model out the potential business scenarios that you care about, and then create maybe many thousands of different varieties to push the data in, each one being unique. You can also then use the combinatorial, which will create you a less sophisticated version, but is quite good for certain different types of testing scenarios. Then finally, you can then use the missing data combinations published to push the data into your development system by comparing it to your pre-prod or QA systems to see what's missing, and then create that data. And then finally, once you've done that, you could just use maybe a CSV through an API. Possibly you may be using automation frameworks, and this is a good way of pre-populating your data with the data that you're going to be actually using within your automation frameworks itself. So we have generation rule sets, and these contain the instructions on what you're actually going to do when you generate your data. You can parameterize everything up. You could do it all manually if you want to. You could use AI to help you, and that's nowadays much faster, obviously. You could also use any prior generation that you have and use that as the basis to create new sets of generators with maybe some new, more advanced rules. You can also store data in templates, and that data can then be used to repeatedly publish the same sets of data into different environments or have multiple copies of it. Once you have those generators, you can fire them off in forms, you can invoke them from models, or you can build them into data pipelines, or you can call them from an API, and that would then invoke our data generator and push the data in using any one of your DevOps automation tools. So let's have a look at it. So here I've created one of our data pipelines. Now I've gone to town on this. This is kind of showing off all the different ways that you can actually create data. We'll start with the most basic one, which is a scenario publish. And within that we have various different parameters that we can change from the drop down, like so. And we also have some parameters into some messages, some ancillary messages, which match with the actual data we're going to push into the database. Now what you do is you say, well, okay, that's great, I want to publish that, but I also want to create variations, and it will create a default model for you. And then what we've done is if the product is actually shipped, we then have to get into all sorts of different types of shipping messages to go along with that. So this kind of simulates a more realistic business scenario. Now you could have used AI to help you build this, and I'll show you that just a little bit later. But if you come in here, you will see we've got all these different variations, and if we go and look at all the different paths that we've created, we can have a look at the different types of coverage that we can play around with. We can also exclude certain combinations. We can force the credit card to be, there are a number of different variations of credit card, and we want to make sure that those are exhaustive. And you can set them all over the model to have different levels of coverage. The result of that is that you can actually then preview the different combinations that you're going to create. And here you'll see that we've got all sorts of different types of credit cards, posts, pre's, etc. And that is in effect what's going to be used over in the pipeline. So if we run this now and say, let's first of all run the scenario that we talked about before. Let's just run that. And that's created one customer, one contact, a couple of orders and a few order items. Now if we go and do it with a model, what you'll see there is that it's then going to run that same preview of combinations, which it's running now, and that then has created 57 different customers, and each one of those would match with the combination that you've modeled up within your model. Now there is a further part of the demo here, and what we're going to do is use complex data. Now what is complex data? So what we've done here is we have various different data states that we want to play around with, and various different constraints, and what we'll do is we can then create them with various different, in this case we're using pairwise, maximum number of tests, and we will then create different variations of those. And you can see here we've used a different type of modeling algorithm to create the different types of variations. And again, if we run this, we're going to read that complex data set of combinations, and that's gone off and created a whole set of variations of data that we care about into our development environment. Let's go back to the model. Now what you can also do is use our AI tool to improve the model, and there's all sorts of different things that you can do. There's all different prompts. You can look for equivalence classes, you can review the model. So a combination of human input, business knowledge and AI is an extremely powerful way of being able to build out these different variations and combinations that you're going to need to exhaustively and thoroughly test your application. If we finally have a quick look at the data generator itself, now this is the generation rule set, and again you can use AI to help you here. So you can put in your own sets of prompts and fire off our AI data engine, and that will then go off and build you a potential set of generator rules based on its understanding of your business. Maybe it can go and search the web as well, and it will also look at the metadata that we have gathered up about the various columns when we did some of our deep scanning. So it's gone off and it's made some decisions in terms of what it would like to do, and then if you want to, you can then just go through and choose the ones that you think are good, and then this one's actually done a good one there, this one is good, and then you can just apply those, and that would then change the data generator based on the prompts and the information that you've passed through it. Okay, so that's everything for the short demo. Thank you very much.